You're not reaching your potential. As a creative, you're not reaching your potential. How does that make you feel? You have a lot of potential and you know what that is, but you're not reaching it. Hey creators, Aimon here, and this is where I help you master your creative mindset. Today we're diving in, just giving 10 minutes of straight motivational fire, because sometimes I'm making this video for me in the future so that I can watch it and be like, oh yeah. Sometimes you just need someone to kick you in the ass and be like, hey, you're not reaching your potential. It's okay, I'm just leaning in closer to make sure that I'm in focus, because the last two videos I just filmed, my camera dogged me and I wasn't in focus. Let's get into it. So why aren't you reaching your potential? You know that you're not. You know what your idea of success is for you and your artistic project. But you're not there. And you know you could be way further along than you actually are. Why aren't you further along than you actually are? It's because you're not putting in the time. It's because you're not putting in the hours. It's because you don't want it enough. Do you want it enough? Like you say yes to that question, but do you want it enough? Because if you did want it enough, your actions would be different. They would be different to what your actions are now. What actions are you taking on a day-to-day basis that you're not proud of? Do you go to bed at night and think about, where did I slip up today? Where did I show up as the person that I didn't want to show up as? How did I show up that's going to stop me from actually being the type of person that I want to be? Who is the type of person that is the type of person that's getting the results that I want to be getting? And how am I different to that? And how can I bridge that gap? What I've found a lot on my journey is that when you ask questions like this, they're very, very powerful. And your ego doesn't like it because it puts all of the pointing on yourself. Because guess what? If you're not where you want to be and you don't take personal responsibility, you're never going to be where you want to be. If you're blaming everyone else and everything else, and you don't just stand up and say, everything that happens to me is my fault, radical acceptance, then it doesn't matter. If you're blaming anyone else for any of your problems, you're never going to get where you want to go. Especially as a creative, because as a creative, you've probably got a stronger ego than most other people out there. You know how I know? I'm a creative. So ego's been one of the biggest battles for me. Wouldn't it be awkward if someone just came up behind me and like, what you talking about? Oh, just giving 10 minutes of straight motivational fire to my future self and also all my creative philosophy subscribers. And then I just get them collabing right here with me. No. But yeah, you're not where you want to be, and you know why you're not where you want to be as well. You know the answer to that question. And that's the hardest truth to hear. Because it's like, you don't need to, often I find like I catch myself seeking out new information, seeking out a new audiobook, seeking out a new course to buy, seeking out a new YouTuber to watch, typing in different things in different places to try and find information. Guess what? You've got all the information in your own head right now to take the actions that you want to take to get the results you want to get. That's all there is to it. Instead of trying to find this middleman, which is actually a distraction, you could just do the thing. It's easier than you think. You just have to get out of your own way. Because most often it is you that's in your way. And your mind, it's a very sneaky thing. It's designed to be lazy, to conserve calories, right? And that's a beautiful thing. But a lot of the time it stops you from doing the things that you actually want to do. Because if you can recognize my mind's here to keep me safe and to not take actions, and you can reduce the barriers to taking action. That's been the biggest key for myself, I would say, is your mind makes things seem larger than they actually are. So it makes it harder to actually do the thing. But when you can see through that, or you can compartmentalize things to make it seem easier, because it is actually easier than you think it is, right? It's just that, yeah, your mind makes up these stories as to the fact that it's harder. If you can break it down, you realize that it's easier, and then you just take the action, even if your mind says it's going to be hard. You just take the first action, take the first step, and everything becomes way easier after that. More often than not, it's funny. Like, for example, at work, like I've got a task list, right? And that's how I keep track of the tasks that I need to do in order of priority. Makes sense. Often I'll find myself adding something to a task list based on an email that I've received or something, when in the time that I've added it to the task list, I could have just done the thing. And it's good when you catch yourself in those moments, because you just catch yourself and you're like, oh, wait, just do the thing. And then you do the thing and you can take it off the task list immediately. And it makes you realize you can just take action on things way quicker than you think you can, which is empowering. Because again, this is what's stopping you from living your dream creative project. That could be making money from that thing. That could be living that thing full time. It could be performing in front of crowds of people. There is a third door to get to where you want to go, but you are either taking the first or the second door. There's a great book by Alex Banayan. You can check it out. Essentially, there's 3 doors to everything. First door is the traditional route. You work your way up. Second door, somebody helps you up. It's a family member in a job, and they get you a job. They're the 2 main ways that people get somewhere, but there's always a third door. And you can get where you want to go, but you've got to think outside the box. But you know what? That takes effort. Who wants to put in more effort? Your brain doesn't. I'll tell you that much. You are responsible for why you are not living your dream creative project. And you know exactly why you aren't living it either. Are you going to take the steps today to do the thing? Are you going to take the steps tomorrow to do the thing? Or are you going to reach for that cheap dopamine? Because that cheap dopamine is everywhere. It's all around us, and it's so easy to get, isn't it? Damn, it's so easy to get. I could just chill. I could just live my life consuming cheap dopamine, consuming cheap food, cheap TV shows, all the cheap activities that give me dopamine that you don't have to work for. But when you realize the good dopamine, that high quality dopamine, comes from high quality activities, that's where the magic is. Because if you can reprogram your brain to only get dopamine from high quality dopamine activities, then that's, when you feel better, it's natural dopamine, right? So it's like, again, I know this is not how dopamine works. This is just how everyone refers to it. So I'm referring to it this way, right? Just, it's naturally more rewarding when you do something genuinely hard, right? Doing hard things. I went on a 20-day hike last year in Europe. It almost broke me, my dude. But not as much as the 8-day hike that I did a few years before. So I had a bit of an idea of what was going to happen. But the reason you do hard things like that is because it makes your brain realize, oh, I can do things way harder than I think I can. And then you break that down to your everyday, and it's like, oh, right, this task that I thought was big and scary is actually not even hard at all. I just have to do it and get it out of the way. And guess what? That builds momentum for the next thing. The next thing becomes way easier. And then you do the next thing, you do the next thing, you do the next thing. You realize it's 2 p.m. and you've just crushed out a whole day of amazing creative work on a Saturday. This last week alone, I've shot like 4 of these videos. I finished 3 songs. I scheduled 8 songs. I'm not saying this to flex, but just, I don't know. Everyone's like, Aimon, man, you've got crazy discipline. I'm like, do I? Or do I just realize you just have to keep taking actions? I feel good when I take actions that support the goals that I have. I don't think it's that complex. It obviously is for a lot of people. I admire your discipline. I wish I had your discipline. I'm like, I'm not a hero. I just take action. Like, I don't know. It obviously is different for other people, but to zoom out and finish us off here, do you have a clear written down goal of where you actually want to go on your creative project? Do you have a sentence that is like, this is my dream creative project? You have that written down and you look at it every day. Do you? Because I do. And that helps me definitely. And do you have then 5 to 7 KPIs, things that you're doing every single week that you think if you were doing those things every single week in 2 years, you would reach that goal? Because if you have those KPIs and then you have this dream life for a particular year, let me tell you, I've had that for 5 years. 2020, I set that up. And I've set up 5 things that in 2020, I was like, there's no way I'm going to achieve all those things. That would be absolutely crazy to me. And as the years went on, I was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to get I'm going to get a little bit closer. Oh my God, maybe it's going to, and 2025 is next year. Let me tell you, I'm going to destroy every single one of those. And I would say a huge portion of the reason why that's going to happen is because I wrote them all down, right? I wrote them all down And then I broke it down by if I did these steps for this number of years, 5 years that was, and I've just written my 2030 ones now, and they are terrifying, let me tell you. But because I have this evidence of me leading up to the point of something that I think was scary, and now I've just smashed them all out of the park, then that tells me you can achieve way more than you think you can. So if you've got all of this written down, you know where you're going. That's going to program your brain to be like, this is where I'm going, and this is how I get there. And you wake up and you just look at that every day, then you just do those things. It's so easy. I mean, it's so simple. It's not necessarily easy. But again, the reason why it's not easy is because your brain's making up stories. And you gotta drill into a question that thing and be like, dude, whose side are you on, bro? Anyway, hopefully you got some value out of this. These are the things that hopefully, I'm going to look back on. And sometimes I watch videos from a few years ago and I'm like, damn, that guy knows what he's talking about. And it's just me. Because I know again, you know the answers, right? You just have to ask yourself what they are, write them down, stick to them. I'm just printing it on video on the internet so that I can hold myself accountable. But yeah, hopefully you got some value out of this. Let me know what your favorite part was, or if you've got anything to add. And I'll see you in the next one.